Hello, welcome to another video on the channel. Today we want to talk a little bit about altcoin season. Can it happen? When can it happen? What are we looking for? Has it maybe even started? Are we in altcoin season? We want to talk a little bit about that in this video. I want to share you some charts and want to share with you some ideas that I have around the altcoin sector, questions that always get asked. And just, we're using obviously the Elliott wave structures as a model to identify price structures. But I wanna build that in here as well. But really, it's to give you a good idea of what is currently happening in the space. First of all, we want to start simple, and we want to take a look at this altcoin season index. I mean, you can find it everywhere. There are different types and styles of this altcoin season index, and you find it everywhere on social media. And it kind of lures people into in this, people who don't really know too much about the crypto space. They think when they see that, well, surely we must go up now. The thing is, it doesn't really feel like altcoin season, right? It doesn't really feel like altcoin season. What is going on? And a lot of people ask that question. And I will talk a little bit about that. But for now, based on this indicator, we are apparently in altcoin season. Now, last time that happened was in December 2024. And honestly, we were quite close to a top there. They moved a little further. I think some even moved into March 2020. No, many topped actually. It was the year before. Many topped in March 2024, right? So you see Q4 led to that rally here on the altcoin season index. Q4 2023 into the early 24 high. Then it was the same last year, Q4 into the December high. And now we started even a little earlier. Yeah, already in September. Maybe we get October, November a little higher. But the thing is, we're already very, very high. And historically, we can push higher, okay? I mean, we've even seen in 2022, it pushed towards, it pushed towards 90, what was it, 92, 94. And then we had 2021 as well. Now, interesting is in 2021, obviously the bull market topped in November 2021, and we were not in altcoin season then. Yeah. But a lot of coins topped in November 2021. So I think it's an indicator that is very messed up. If you are one of those people who looks at this and thinks, well, it for sure is altcoin season now, it just isn't, right? I mean, it doesn't feel, I'm sure you will agree, it doesn't feel like altcoin season out there, and it's not altcoin season. This is an indicator that's old, yeah. It's very lagging. You see it shows it because they look at the top 50 performance over the last season, 90 days. And because there have been, here it says it, if 75% of the top 50 coins performed better than Bitcoin over the last 90 days, it is altcoin season. Okay, they exclude some stable coins, right? But is this really, I mean, this is so lagging, right? This is so lagging. So they might call it altcoin season, but because there are so many coins that just aren't moving, yeah, you just don't see that. And well, we know that Pengu was moving and some others, but is this really altcoin season? This really looks only at the top 50 performance over the last, if 75% of the top 50 coins performed better than Bitcoin. But we know that they do because we also look at Bitcoin dominance, right? That is something that we track regularly. And Bitcoin dominance, it has been in sell-off mode since, sell-off mode is not really a tradable asset, but we've gone down, right? We've been going down since June, and very often there's a local low that usually forms kind of in September time. I think maybe in October, often we see a bit of a bounce there. Then we find some evidence for that. Here, if we go back, we looked at that in previous updates. Here in September, for example, 2022, it formed the low here, and then it bounced into the October highs, and then Q4, and it moved up and moved up and moved up. But quite frequently, you get a bit of a bounce. There was here in 2021, there was a bounce as well down here, and we moved up. So often there is a bit of a bounce, but we had let's say a decline from the June high. So of course, it is it is clear that Bitcoin has lost some dominance. Yeah. Now, market cap Bitcoin dominance. Is it really that straightforward? I mean, again, it doesn't really feel like full-blown altcoin season. It is much more selective, I would say. It's much more selective. It's not that masses of people, retail, are coming in and just buying altcoins as they used to do in 2021 and 2017. It's not like that. People got burned by the altcoin sector. So it's much more selective. And altcoins, I've always said it, altcoins are more like tradable assets. They are not investment assets. They are, tradable assets, swing trade. They're for swing trades, yeah? They are tradable assets, but they are not really investment grade, okay? A lot of people treat them like investments. They kind of marry their bags, and then they just buy them randomly without looking for setups. They just buy them because they think, oh, there should be an altcoin season, right? But it's so much more selective, right? So, I mean, my view here is Bitcoin dominance will go down further. I don't think we've seen the low point yet. I've marked it specifically with a question mark. Is this really altcoin season? I made a video here on this channel about altcoin season 6 months ago, probably. Yeah. And I said, like, when finally Bitcoin dominance is starting to go down, we can consider altcoin season. It can help when the interest rates go down as well, maybe temporarily. And often in Q4, we get a really good phase for altcoins, very often, yeah? It's kind of the last phase of the cycle. Historically, in Q4, Bitcoin after the halving often forms the top, can be end of Q4. Maybe we get a slightly extended cycle, but overall, when Bitcoin finally forms the top, and enters the bear market, the altcoins will likely follow. But here, I mean, this is currently how I see Bitcoin dominance. My take is, I don't think there will be a full-blown altcoin season. I think we're going to see a little further downside, and altcoins will continue to run. Not all of them, yeah, not all of them. Most of them won't. They need a setup. I mean, most altcoins won't. Most are really, really poor quality charts, unfortunately. So be selective. What we use, the method is Elliott wave. It really helps to determine clear reward to risk setups. Does it mean we always pick the best performers? Of course not, but we pick the ones with the clearest parameters, and that's gold because you can manage your risk much more wisely instead of just randomly buying a random altcoin. The thing is, why is it different than in 2021 and 2017? You could argue that many people got burned and got tired. Well, yeah, I've mentioned it many, many, many times. Hold on, I actually want to show you the other chart here. That's been my thesis for the entire sector, the entire cycle. If we look at the long-term chart for Bitcoin, from an Elliott wave point of view, I'm going to hide those moving averages here for 1 second. My take has been this entire cycle that we are not like in 2021 in what I would call the heart of a third wave, like the main element of a third wave. We're not like in here in the rally in 2017 in this larger third wave. From an Elliott wave point of view, third of a third wave. We're not. We are in what I would call a fifth wave. Wave 5 or 5. That's different, yeah? I don't want to talk about the entire structure here, but it's different sentiment. I just want to explain that here, this was the low of a fourth wave from an Elliott wave point of view. This is a fifth wave. What we had here was a third wave. Third waves are much more aggressive. They are much more hype-driven, yeah? That's the FOMO. That's where the crowd comes in. It's mass sentiment. And I've said from the beginning of the cycle, we're likely in a fifth wave. Sentiment is different in larger degree fifth wave, and because Bitcoin is like, it's like the S&P 500 just for crypto, you could say, roughly, yeah? It's not exactly like that, but it's like, Bitcoin is like, it gives us an idea of what the overall market sentiment is like. And because Bitcoin is in a fifth wave, not in a third wave like it was in 2021 and 2017, altcoin sentiment is much more muted. It's not that hype driven. It's much more selective. Still, we get rallies, yeah, but it's not that full blown altcoin season that people have been waiting for and that influencers tell you will likely happen. I don't believe it will. You know, there are millions of coins out there. I mean, just if you look at coin market cap, and there are 100 pages basically, right? And they track nearly 10,000 coins here, and they are not all altcoins, right? They just track 10,000. There are more. there are many more, and that money in the sector, there's only so much money, right? And it gets diluted. There's just too many coins, too many shit coins out there. It really is the case. So what I want to highlight here is, I think there will be another boom phase for altcoins, but we're close to the end of a larger cycle that started in 2022. You might hear the dog, the dog sleep over there. The dog dreaming. And so we're late in the cycle. Q4 is normally where Bitcoin forms the top after the halving. This cycle is slightly different than previous ones, but still, it can still rhyme. And so that last quarter can provide an opportunity for altcoins to run, but you have to be selective, right? Don't believe that all altcoins will run. If you really think what we've seen just because of a stupid indicator, it's altcoin season, then you have never participated in a real altcoin season. It's complete madness. Complete madness. I believe we might see some degree of an altcoin season, but not what most people believe. But I would argue most people who are in the space have never really seen a real altcoin season. It's mad, right? And that could be in Q4. So I think just because the market is a little quiet now, it's not the time to be asleep. It's not the time to switch off. It's the time to be awake and to observe the market. But if you position yourselves, a few things to keep in mind. Most altcoins move together, not exactly in the same degree and to the same extent, but in direction, very often they do. So if you have a portfolio of cryptos, make sure you know the entire risk, of that portfolio, because people try to diversify, but you cannot really diversify in crypto. That's one thing. Don't just believe randomly all altcoins will run. Yeah, you have to manage your risk. You need to understand when you want to get out, when you're trading ideas and validate it. And if you believe, that these are investment assets, then you're wrong. So treat them as swing trades with clearly defined risk parameters and invalidation where you get out and stop out. My recommendation. How exactly you do that depends on your risk profile. That's your personal decision, of course. But yeah, keep an eye out for altcoin outperformance. At the moment, and that's the last chart I want to show you. At the moment, Ethereum is still dominating. So we can take a quick look at the Ethereum dominance chart. Ethereum dominance is still dominating. Once we have, I'd say there's a chance that when we get the next high, Ethereum dominance, that altcoins might take over. That's the case. My case is that we're still, you could argue, in Ethereum season, because we haven't completed this move up likely. So we might get another leg up, maybe another leg up in which Ethereum will reach all-time highs. When that's the case, afterwards, it is possible that altcoins will start to outperform with Ethereum in this move up here. I'll keep you updated about that. Hope you enjoyed the update. Thanks so much. Make sure you subscribe, leave a like. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.